Hello, my beautiful mama. Welcome back to Fun Rich Mom. I am Mitch Blackford. So excited to be with you again because why? It's some of my favorite times of the week here, spending this special time with you. If you were with me last week, I talked about how it took me 10 months to lose 20 pounds, which sounds like a really long time. And in the great scheme of things, it doesn't matter because time is passing anyway. I may as well be on the journey of making some strong habits around making that thing stick. So, what I wanted to get into today was about how to create habits and having the willpower to push through in those moments when you really just don't want to, right? You just kind of want to say, I'm done. It's easier not to have this new habit, and I can't do that. Well, guess what? You can. So, with that, let's get started. So, if you're going to create a new habit, the first thing that you probably want to do is start off right. I came across something called the HALT Method, which is basically a system that you use for recovery to avoid relapse in any certain thing. So, HALT, what it stands for is hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And as the acronym stands, HALT, anytime you find yourself in one of those states, it's time to stop. It's not the best time to move forward on big decisions. It's not the best time to say, I'm going to start a new habit, or I'm just tired of things. We're going to create something new here, because you're not really coming from an empowered state. You're not coming from a place where your brain is thinking clearly. You're usually a little bit more tired, right? Obviously tired. And so it's not a resourceful state, and it's not setting you up for success. So when you're thinking about, okay, how do I want to create new habits in my life? Get yourself into a state that is resourceful. Basically, create some energy, get some excitement, move, breathe. I've talked about this before, breathing deeply, getting that body moving. It's going to circulate that blood in your body. It's going to oxygenate that brain, which is going to allow you to think clearly, to get excited, to brainstorm ideas that you normally wouldn't when you're just kind of sitting there in that unresourceful state of, I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm so over this, what should I do? So this is the first step in creating a new habit, is come from a place where you are excited about it, where you're resourceful, you're energized, and you can think clearly about all of the steps that you can take and implement to create this habit and make it sticky, right? Just like sticky buns are sticky to my hips, we want to make this habit sticky so that it doesn't come off of you either. So understanding this really helps in making better decisions, because again, our brains think differently when we're in that disempowered state, when we're hungry, when we're tired, when we're angry, when we're lonely, all those things. It's not really reasonable, and it's not going to come up with those ideas. And it also affects our willpower as well, because usually when you're in those states, you don't have a lot of willpower. And that's the first blah, 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 to making that's a really technical term, by the way. I had to Google it and everything. But what it means is it's an unresourceful state that basically sends you downhill on any decision that you're going to make. So you can use that term, just credit it back to me 3 times, and then it's yours. Okay. So let's get into, well, we're in the resourceful state, which is our first step. We have oxygen in our brain. We can think clearly. We can ideate and come up with great solutions. Now we're going to set ourselves up for success in this new habit. How are we going to set ourselves up for success in this? Well, the first thing I want you to recognize is that starting off small is 100% okay. Sometimes we look at that big elephant and we think we just got to tackle that whole thing. I'm taking it down. And then we wonder why we fail so quickly, because it's overwhelming. It's too much. It's like, it just puts the brakes on everything after one attempt and we've failed, right? So break the habit down that you want to create into its smallest steps and tackle the one that you feel the most confident in, right? This is how you can set yourself up for success. The next thing that you want to do is, when you're thinking about this habit, you may have heard of this acronym before. I know I'm just full of the acronyms today. These aren't mine, but a really well-used acronym is SMART. You want to be specific about why you need this habit, what it's going to do for you, how you're going to approach it. You want it to be something that's measurable so that you can track the differences of where you were before the habit versus where you're going and where you are now after the habit. You want it to be something that's attainable, right? Because we want to implement habits generally because we're trying to reach something. We want to change something. So make it something that is attainable. For example, it doesn't matter how hard I work. I'm never going to play in the professional NFL football league. It's not going to happen for me. And so that may not quite be an attainable goal for me to work a habit on, right? So let's make something that's attainable. And that goes into which makes it realistic. Okay. Now, I like to dream big. I like to push myself beyond my limits and think, okay, what can I do that's a little bit scary? Because that propels you, that gives you forward growth. And at the same time, when we're trying to create something that's sustainable, we also have to look at what's realistic for us. So, again, back to my episode last week where I talked about losing the 20 pounds, one of the first things that I told Andrew when he came to me with his idea of let's change our eating habits, I said, you know what? I don't care if it's going to take me a long time because if I do this, I want it to stick. I'm tired of the yo-yo. So for me, that was realistic to go very slow. And obviously it worked. It takes a little bit longer. And at the same time, I still have the results. So make it something that is realistic, right? Something that you feel like you can reach. Otherwise, your brain's just going to shut you off and say, I can't do that. So why even try? And then when you're creating these habit goals, you want to have a timetable so you can start to look and measure, right? Go back to measurable, but have a timetable to see what's going on. You can track yourself. So during the weight loss journey, which I'm still currently on, I'm looking at, okay, what's my timetable? Can I speed it up now? Or is it more realistic for me to stay here? Is this sustainable? What's going to keep me going? And also because at some point in time, we do want to reach a goal. So, I don't want to lose 20 pounds in 10 years. That's a really long time, but 20 pounds in 10 months, that's a good goal. And that gives me a nice timetable that was realistic, that it was attainable. I could measure the results and it was very specific, right? So this is what we want to do around creating that habit. The next thing in setting yourself up for success is look at what is going on in your life that could be helpful for this new habit, something that you might already be doing to set this up for success. And also look at what maybe some of the stresses are in your life that might be working against you in creating this new habit. Because if you can be aware of these things up front, it's really going to help you drive through those times that it feels impossible, that the stress is overwhelming. And it's also going to give you resource to pull from where you're already doing well, and you can maybe guide yourself into those areas to help you create that habit. You also want to visualize yourself doing the habit. The power of visualization is huge. When you can see yourself already doing the thing, now what you're basically doing is you're running that movie for your brain. You're showing your brain that you're already in this action. So we're training our brain. This is something that I do. This is a part of who I am. And so it's already starting to identify this habit as part of your ecosystem. So visualize yourself doing this habit in advance, and then also make a plan for the areas where maybe you've tried this habit before and you struggled. Okay, where were you struggling? What was the struggle? So again, for example, going back to the weight loss journey, for me, the struggle was anytime I clean up after lunch and I'm putting some things up in the pantry, guess what? I just happened to grab some snacks, a dessert or two or five, and I wonder why I'm not losing weight. So I identified my struggle area. I saw that pattern where I knew that I kept hitting my wall and falling backwards and then just feeling like I should just give up the whole thing. And so instead, I came up with a plan to replace what was going on. I mean, obviously, I still need to clean up after lunch and put things up. However, what I did is I said, okay, well, what I'm going to do is I have my one little sweet treat that's planned into the day. I'm going to have that right there with my lunch and put the things up actually as I'm making lunch. And that way I don't have to go into the pantry. I don't have to go into the fridge. All I'm doing is maybe dishes, right? And putting those up with the girls. And so I've avoided the pantry area. I've avoided the fridge area. And I've also had something to satisfy that sweet little craving. And that helped me get through the place before where I was hitting my head against the wall. So plan in advance for those areas that you know you tend to struggle. And that way you want to just also make it as easy as possible for you to create this new habit. So, for example, if you're wanting to start working out, and you've probably heard this one before, well, okay, we got to figure out where are we working out, when are we working out, and have that ready to go. Put it in your schedule so you know it's on your calendar and have your workout clothes set up and ready to go. Or say, for example, you're going to stop at a gym on the way home from work, and or you go home and instead you realize every time I go home I just lose motivation, and so I don't change and don't go to the gym. So bring your clothes with you in your car and then just go straight to the gym. Now you're making it as easy as possible for you to win at this habit, and that's really, really cool. So now let's look at some methods of implementing this habit. We've made it easy. We've set ourselves up for success. We know what we've visualized it. We know where we might struggle, and we've already come up with a plan for that. Another quick tip, write it down. If you can write it down, that just makes it even stronger connection in your mind. But now what we want to do is let's break down our day and see what makes sense. So let's go back to the workout habit. So for me, if I don't work out first thing in the morning and early, it's probably not going to happen. So I know for me that when I want to work out, it's got to be first thing in the morning. And it usually needs to be earlier, because if I wake up, even if I have like a late morning and I slept in a little bit and I work out, I just feel like my whole day is off. So I had to kind of create two habits in one: getting up a little bit earlier and working out. And that made more sense in the flow of my day, because then it was done. I already felt accomplished, and it wasn't taking away from other areas where I was going to feel stressed out. Like, oh, now I don't have time for this, or I don't have time for that. I feel like I have to make a sacrifice here, or I'm going to miss out on something there. So I planned it in a way that it made sense for my day. And then what I did is the second step is I habit bundled. So habit bundling is something that you do when you add a habit to something that you're already doing. So for example, a habit, by the way, you have your cue, something that starts it. You have the cycle that you do, the actions that you take, and you have your reward. That's the habit cycle, okay? So, for example, I'm already getting up at 5:30 with Andrew when he goes to work, because I'll make his coffee and I'll pack up his lunch. And so that was an easy way for me to bundle the habit of working out in as well. My cue is I get up and I make it the lunch, and then I immediately go and get dressed, because if I don't, I immediately get back into bed and I go right back to sleep, and then I get up and I'm like, ah. So I bundled those two habits together because I was already getting up early to do that. So I may as well just go get my clothes on and get that workout in. And it hasn't taken away from any other part of my day. And I actually start the day pretty energetic and refreshed. So that is an example of habit bundling. I've taken the cue that I already had, I added in an extra action to it, and then I have my reward at the end. I feel good, I feel better, I feel accomplished. The other thing that I do is I temptation bundle along with the bundle of what I'm my with my existing habit. So temptation bundling is when you take something that is more of a temptation for you, maybe not such a great habit, but we can combine it together and do a sticky good habit next to it. And now it's not so bad. So like, I love me my HGTV. So what I've done is the only time I get to watch HGTV is when I am in my gym working out. So that's another reason for me to stay up, get into my clothes, and hit that gym, because I want to watch me some pretty homes. And so now I've taken something that normally, if I could sit there all day and just watch HGTV, I mean, it's true. I could do it. I know some people are like, why? It's just so boring. But I love it. I'm dreaming, I'm planning. You get the idea. But I could literally sit there all day if I really let myself and just lose myself in HGTV. Whatever it is for you, right? It might be scrolling through your phone, or just picture all of the different things that you could really just waste your day on. It's not really going to accomplish anything. But now I add it and I make it sticky and attached to this habit that is going to move me forward and that I want to do. And I need to create something to get me going there. So now I've temptation bundled these two habits together, along with habit bundling of another habit. So now you see how I am just stacking the habits, stacking the temptations, putting it all together so that it's really working in my favor. And now this method propels me forward into this habit a lot easier than if I'm just trying to do it out of nowhere and stick it in my day where it's a totally new thing that I've never done. And now I have to remember to do it, or I have to stop my day to do it, or, just make changes. This is just small adjustments to what I'm already doing. So some temptation bundling. I really like it. The other thing that is really helpful in creating a new habit to reach a goal is having an accountability partner. And I know this one's like, I don't want anyone to know because then they'll know and I have to follow through. Or if I don't follow through, they're going to be like, see, you never follow through. It's true, though, having that accountability partner really does help. Or the next step, joining a group that's doing something like that habit that you want to do. So, maybe join a workout group if you're starting to work out, join a book club if you're wanting to read more, whatever it is, get other people involved in that habit for you, right? It's going to make it more social, which is always more fun. It's going to add that extra step of accountability because now you have to show up. And it also gives you someone to check in with. I had a friend one time. Oh, man. I used her as an accountability partner for these workouts that I was doing. And she always, I told her, okay, every day I'm going to let you know if I worked out or not. This was a specific workout that I was doing, and it was a little bit tougher than what I was normally doing. And I said, if I don't call you, then you get to choose what I add on to my workout the next day. Oh, my goodness. Did she love that? Because she didn't have to do it, but she sure liked making me suffer for not doing my workout. But I'll tell you, it worked because the first time I missed and she made me do a workout, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. That was really, really hard. So I'm just going to stick to doing the thing that I want to do. It's actually a lot easier, even though it was hard. So having that accountability partner can make it fun. It can make it challenging in a good way. And it just gives you that extra resource of helping you push through so you're not alone. Because it's really, really easy when you're alone to just, nobody really knew. Doesn't really matter. I'm good. I'm comfortable. Comfort's okay. I like the needle in my paw. I already know how to expect it. If you've ever heard the story about the dog laying on, a nail, and he doesn't move, he just howls, but it's because he's comfortable and he already knows what to expect. That's kind of how we are in our lives as well when we're not willing to make those changes. So join a group, get an accountability partner. And these are all methods that are going to help propel you forward and creating a stickiness with this new habit. So now that we've started and we're moving forward, there's probably going to be a bump in the road. Why? Because life. Because it happens. You have kids, you're a mom, pick anything that you want. There's work, you're breathing. There's going to be something that's going to come up. And remember, back in the beginning, we already did some anticipation of, okay, when I hit the struggle bus, this is what I'm going to do. And sometimes along the way, you got to make some adjustments. You might say, wow, I really tried to chew a lot more of this elephant than I thought I was, and it's a little bit overwhelming. So maybe if I back off this part and I'm still making forward progress, that still gets this habit rolling for me. That's okay. That's totally okay. I would rather do that than quit. Because progress, even just one small action a day, it creates progress. Progress over time, no matter how small, guess what? In the end, it creates big results. So instead of feeling like, I failed, I didn't do whatever I said for 3 days. Now I'm done. It's over. I can't create a habit. Instead of, getting all melodramatic and soap opera, just remember, okay, maybe I need to adjust, or let me just hop back onto this bandwagon because I haven't failed. I just took a little break. And that happens in life. Okay. So have those realistic, right? Smart, realistic expectations around creating this habit. The other thing to know is that habits, I know there's this little thing going around that's really popular. You create a habit in 21 days. No, you don't create a habit in 21 days. You can start to see the formation of a habit in 21 days. And the reason I bring this up is because I used to feel like I was failing all the time because I'd go, almost 21 days and then I'd skip and then I'd fall off the wagon. I'm like, I just can't create habits. Something's wrong with me. These 21 days don't work. I must be a special case. Special case up here for sure. But what I found out is that a habit can take anywhere from 21 days, but up to like 200, 267 days, something around there. It's not an exact number, but it was in the 200s and it was in the high 200s. And that may at first be like, oh, you're kidding me. I got to go almost a full year before this habit sticks. No, not true in every case. Like I said, it can take anywhere between these time frames. And at the same time, how cool is that when you realize, hey, I've hit day 50 and I'm still having to really remind myself of this? There is nothing wrong with you. It's just you're still in the process. And so that to me was a big relief. It was like, oh, I'm not this big failure. I haven't been failing all this time. I just wasn't giving it enough time because I had some arbitrary number thrown at me and I believed it. And so it is okay if it takes a little bit longer. And those days, it is okay if you miss a day or two here. The point is, you can still create that habit as long as you just jump back on board. Don't give it up completely. And this is going a little bit back more to setting yourself up for success. But before you decide that you've failed, sometimes you just need to make some adjustments. So, for example, I had a friend and I was an accountability partner for her. And she was saying, I want to read. I want to read 10 pages of something empowering every day or a chapter, whatever it is that she chose. And so she was trying to do it at a certain time of the day. And she was just not able to get it in. For some reason, it just wasn't working. I can't remember if it was around like because kids were there or she was too busy or whatever. And so she's like, I just can't do this. It's just not going to work for my life. And I just asked her the simple question, well, when do you have 10 minutes when you're not going to be busy? Because it sounds like that morning time doesn't work for you. Could you read at night? And she literally was like, I didn't think of that. She says, yes, I can absolutely read at night. When my kids go to bed, I got 10 minutes right there. And so she just flipped it and she got it in. And I know it sounds so simple, but a lot of the times these little simple tweaks, we don't see it because we're so focused on it's not working the way I started it. So if it's not exactly working out for you at that time, figure out a tweak. Hey, maybe I just need to change it. Like I said, for me, I know I need to work out early in the morning because that way works for me. If I don't get my workout in the morning, the odds go significantly down that I'm going to get it in later in the day because a couple of things happen as your day progresses. First thing is willpower is finite. Each day, we actually only have a certain amount of willpower. And I know that doesn't sound like very woohoo, you can do anything, but that's just the truth. We lose our willpower throughout the day. So you kind of want to look at how can I allocate my willpower to make this habit work? And, if it's going to be something that's later in the day, then we got to figure out something earlier in the day that we can push that willpower through. So we're not having to rely on it so much during the day. So by the end of the day, they're like, I just have nothing left. The other thing is decision fatigue. We also have only so many decisions in a day. Have you ever been there? I'm sure you've been there like, oh, I can't even think of what to cook for dinner. Or I don't even know what I want to watch tonight. Or I'm just overwhelmed. I'm just done. Scroll, because you don't have to think about anything because we get tired of making decisions because our brain is constantly making decisions throughout the day, the conscious ones that we're making and the unconscious ones. So it's working hardcore. So sometimes we got to factor that in as well. Like if it comes to the end of the day and you're making the decision, do I do this habit or not? I've lost my willpower. I've made too many decisions. I just can eat some chips and watch TikTok, right? So look at before you feel like you have failed, how can I tweak this? Where can I maybe make some adjustments or scale back or change it a little bit to make me more successful and more likely to continue to do this habit and make it sticky? And that's what's really going to help keep you on track is just these little adjustments. Don't have the all or nothing mindset around this. All or nothing usually doesn't work out that well because we're pretty much never going to have it all. Right? And so then we just give ourselves nothing instead. So make adjustments and remember that it takes time to establish. Like I said, you've got those long days and then review, like look back and think, okay, why am I struggling? I planned in advance for these struggles, but I'm still having a hard time. What is it that keeps coming up for me that maybe I need to look at, readjust, or address? that keeps me from making this habit something that sticks. And sometimes there's just a simple little answer there that you may have overlooked. So there's a lot of things that you can do before you say, ah, I have failed. I can't create new habits. It's always going to be like this. No, look at the little simple things. Ask a friend, hey, I've been my accountability partner. I've been doing this and I keep running up. Do you notice a pattern for me that maybe I'm not seeing that might help me make this habit stick a little bit more? People from the outside always see things that we don't see. So that's another reason to have an accountability partner because they can point that out to you. They can say, oh, yeah, well, I've noticed XYZ, or you happen to say this every time you say you didn't do it or whatever. And then you can be like, oh, well, look at that. Okay, that's an easy fix. I can keep going. So these are the simple steps, the little hacks that I have used in my life anytime I want to create a new habit is really just trying to make it as simple and easy as possible, like almost child-proof it, or maybe not child-proof it, make it unchild-proof so even a child could do it. Just make it super, super simple. And then remember to celebrate. Celebrate your wins, even if it's small. Celebrate somehow. Choose something that is an appropriate reward. Like for example, if you're trying to lose weight, an appropriate reward probably wouldn't be to go out and have like a full dozen box of donuts, dozen donut box, a box of dozen donuts. You know what I'm saying? But find something that's appropriate and keep rewarding yourself along the way. Because guess what? We like rewards. Our brain is like, yay! Our brain is a little kid in there. It wants rewards. It wants to be acknowledged. It wants to know, hey, you've been doing a good job. Keep going. It's like, yes, okay, I'll keep going. So reward yourself along the way. And then this is one just for fun. And also because it is good, but start journaling about the habit. And you don't have to do this every single day, but it's really cool when you start journaling and then you can go back and look at your journal and see how you progressed along the way, see what mindset changes took place, or see where you were really struggling and be like, oh, now I can see. And then it's really cool later, like once you have that habit in place to go, and like I said, and just look back at that journey and see what it felt like for you. And then it can be a reminder for the next habit that you want to do. Hey, look at this. I went through this, I struggled, and I stuck with it. And now look at the result. I have proof that I am a person that can create new habits. Boom. That is really, really fun to do. So hopefully now you see a way where creating a new habit in your life doesn't have to be this all or nothing, overwhelming, I got to make a change on everything right now sort of deal in your life, which is not setting you up to win. It's just about breaking it down, looking at what's already working for you, sticking it in there, and making it sticky in simple ways. And I'm telling you, when you start to see the results, ooh, it is so freaking cool. And sometimes those results take a while. So remember, small wins along the way, small wins along the way, and you'll get there. You will get there. Whew, I would love to hear what habit, if you've already done this before, let me know what habit you are really proud that you made it through even when you didn't think you could, and you overcame and you created this new habit and got yourself to a goal in the first place. Drop a comment, let me know, email me. I would love to hear about that because I love to hear about your wins. I think it's super cool and it just kind of pumps me up. And it's also something for me to put more belief in my mind about creating things in my life because you guys are awesome stories that are walking around there just waiting to be told, and I'm waiting to read it and hear it. And I love it when I get your messages. They are so amazing. So thank you for that. If you found this helpful, if you know of someone who's trying to create a new habit, share this episode with them. Do them a favor. Say, here, let's make it really simple for you. She's already broken it down, and hopefully this can give you better success. I don't have a habit joke. Man, I think I may have said this one before. I don't know. I'm going to have to start keeping a log of my jokes. Actually, you know what? If you have a really good joke, email it to me. Email it to me at hello@funrichmom. I would love to share your joke. And remember, we keep it clean and simple and short. But let's see. Oh, I told that one before. We will go with this one. How does a pirate call his mom? On his iPhone. I think I said this one before. Oh, well. Hopefully you haven't heard it and hopefully you liked it. With that, thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to hearing about your new habit success, and I will talk to you next week. Bye bye.